The topic that I was asked to speak to today was South Africa's bright future, a view from KZN. My immediate reaction was to say, does South Africa truly have a bright future? This is a question that many of us wrestle with daily, just not occasionally. Can our country survive on its current trajectory? Can we see the fundamental policy reforms that we need to change the direction and create jobs and grow our economy? Can municipalities provide services not only effectively and efficiently, but constantly? Can we see water, sanitation, roads, and waste collection improved? Will our ports, railways, roads be equipped so that our industries that we so desperately need to grow and export thrive? Can our education system truly produce young people who can compete in the global market and shift towards become more entrepreneurial? And perhaps most importantly, will we ever feel safe walking in our own streets? These are not rhetorical questions. They are fundamental to the future of our country. And while none of us can answer them with any level of certainty, we still have to try and make sense of the noise, the changes, the challenges, and make decisions as best as we can. Unlike many of the speakers here today and over the last few days, whose work is undoubtedly important, I stand at the forefront of service delivery, facing our nation's socioeconomic challenges head-on every single day. For policymakers, lawmakers, and political commentators, whether they are in Parliament, research institutes, or on prime-time news channels, the realities of everyday South Africa is far removed from the conversations of the political elite and the class that surrounds them, journalists, commentators, and those whose wealth can influence political discourse. The stark and brutal reality of South Africa is far removed from their lived experience. However, South Africa is not defined by the voices that shout the loudest and by those who have the resources to amplify their voice to the widest audience, many of whom are more destructive than constructive. It is built by the millions of South Africans, ordinary in some ways and extraordinary in others, who wake up every day, often with uncertainty, building their homes and contributing to the well-being of their communities, saving for their old age and feeding their families. And whether we acknowledge it or not, I told you I'm going to be unpopular, whether we acknowledge it or not, the average South African is not sitting in this room today. But please don't take offense to that comment. Each one of you is very extraordinary, ordinary. I've only been given 20 minutes to speak, Alec. Otherwise, I would have shared with you the hundreds of stories that I've been privileged to collect over my time in office, on campaign trails, and as a public servant. But for the sake of time, I'm going to highlight the following. Here is the reality that we cannot ignore. Almost half of all South Africans are unemployed. That half of the room is unemployed. Our Gini coefficient is the worst in the world. That is the measure of inequality. That is the gap between the poorest and those who have the most. We are officially the worst in the world. 63% of our population live on less than 1,109 Rand a month. 1,109 Rand a month. How would you survive on that? That is almost 1.8 million people more than during COVID. Things have got worse. Sadly, 2.1 million households, or 6 million people, experience hunger every day, meaning they do not have sufficient food in their homes and at times go a day without a meal. These are 4 statistics that encapsulate the crisis that we face as a country: poverty, inequality, and unemployment. But Chris, you may say, we have heard this all before. Yes, you have, but repetition does not make it any less real. The fact that we have become desensitized to these figures is in itself part of the problem. So where does that leave us? Do we resign ourselves to a future dictated by these grim statistics, or do we refuse to accept them as the inevitable? The truth is that South Africa's future, our future, is unwritten. It is neither bright nor doomed. It is what we make of it. The people that I meet every day, small business owners struggling to stay afloat, young graduates desperate for opportunity, parents working multiple jobs to improve the lives of their children, they have not given up, and neither should the people sitting in this room. But change will not come from rhetoric. It will not come from wishful thinking or vague promises. It will come from practical, deliberate action, from demanding better governance, from holding leaders accountable, and for ensuring that competence, not connections, determines who gets to lead.
George Mayring says, question for Mr. Pappas. Maletsi Mbeki challenged the DA to appeal to ex-ANC voters. It seems that you have the answer, but how can you assist the national DA team with the message?
A lot of people, thanks for the question, a lot of people say that. They say, well, go appeal to ex-ANC voters. I think the important thing is to appeal to voters who align with your vision, who align with your policies, who align with your principles. It is really easy for a political party like the ACDP or the PA or any of these pop-up parties that come along every election to get up and stand on one point and be extremely populist on that and then fade away at the end of an election. The DA is consistent in what we stand for. And we're not going to win the votes of 60 million South Africans. What we want to do is change the mindset of more and more South Africans towards every election so that they see the DA vision and believe in it. Because what we don't want to do is destroy ourselves from the inside out, which very nearly happened a couple of years ago. So do we want more ANC voters to come and vote for us? Yes. But we want the ANC voters who believe in our vision, who are not going to try and force us to be a different version of the ANC or a different version of the MK or a different version of the EFF.
Do you get a sense that that's happening? And I ask you because that SRF report was really quite earth-shattering in many ways for the ANC to go down to 32%. And as mentioned earlier, when I spoke with the researcher, he said that there was a feeling amongst the 15% who were staunch previously, who have now up for grabs, that there was going to be violence when the ANC went below 50%. Now they see the sky hasn't fallen, so they actually are considering their options. Are you seeing that on the ground, that perhaps some of those who would never have considered voting for you are thinking about it?
Absolutely. More so amongst voters who realize what good governance does for them. So whether it is the black middle class or the emerging black middle class, people moving into previous white suburbs, buying their first property, joining the formal market. We have two markets. We have two economies in South Africa, the informal and the formal. The formal sitting amongst us, the informal where we actually don't know what's happening much of the time. But the formal economy, as more and more people participate in that, they realize how much government's decisions impact their lives and what policy and what politicians say has an impact on those lives. So in a small municipality, for example, when someone moves out of a township and buys their first property in a previously white suburb and they see, oh, okay, I'm paying rates and taxes now, and that's not being stolen and there's no controversy in my municipality, the road's being fixed, the street light works, they pick up my litter every day, there is a correlation between good governance and votes. And that's where we see our biggest growth. I'm talking from my municipality perspective, is amongst those who start to put together the dots between good governance and their vote.
Second thing I want to speak about is America. And then I want to end up with what I think is going to happen. And Alec is my witness. I've never gotten it wrong when it comes to predictions. And Alec is big enough to say, you've given me 9 predictions and they were all spot on. It's not because I'm smart or anything like that, far from it in fact. It's just because I'm a realist. I don't say what I'm feeling. I'm saying what the reality is on the ground. I want to speak about America. It is stupid to try to fight America because people talk about BRICS. China is America's biggest trading partner. India. So Donald Trump wasn't even the president yet, and then the Indian prime minister was already there to go and visit Donald Trump. Russia is jumping at a chance to become, to restart the relationship with America. Why is it that we are South Africans, and I'm saying that anybody that says America should go to hell should need to get their heads right, because America is our second biggest trading partner. PEPFAR has kept many South Africans alive, and we must be honest about it. We can't afford this narrative that we are anti-America. Once you take money from people, they have a right to have an opinion about some of the things that you are doing. You can't take money from people and don't want them to have an opinion. America has a particular opinion about us. I happen to share some of the opinions they have regarding the friends that we choose as South Africa. But I see there's a lot of South Africans that says nothing about the lie that's being told. But you see, we're all going to pay a heavy price if we continue this lie of a genocide. What type of genocide is this? And you should speak up about it because it's not the truth, because it's America today. And once people believe there's a genocide, and that's just bullshit. There's no genocide in South Africa. I know it, and you know it. How can you have coffee in a genocide and sitting here, 90% of you are white, but the word out there is that you are being killed? That's not true, and we should fight that, and we should speak very loudly about that. We only have one South Africa, and if this goes, there's nothing for us. There's no genocide in South Africa. South Africa is not totally innocent, in my opinion, that some of the friends that we keep, I totally disagree with as a country. And I think that they can call me all sorts of names, but I think that we should fix our relationship with America. I think South Africa is the one country in the world that shouldn't even have enemies. We are the children of Mandela. Where would our enemies come from? We don't hurt other countries. I think we are perfectly positioned to be friends with everyone.
Assuming that there was a cabinet reshuffle tomorrow and you were no longer Minister of Sports, what positive systematic legacy do you leave behind that can continue? And in this regard, who would you pick as the next incoming minister?
I think the first thing that the legacy I want to leave is that, the majority of people in this country, the federations in this country, and they might hate me for this, but that's okay. I think we have the most incompetent people in some of these federations. They will fly business class while the athletes don't even have money to get to the different sporting codes. Some of them exist purely because they live off the salary that government pays them, the grant. They don't do nothing to take sports further. And my greatest legacy will be to fix that. Some of them are great federations. Some of them are corrupt. They got a big surprise coming in the next 30 days when I read my budget. If you don't tell us what you did with the previous money, you will not get 1 cent from us in this new budget. We got to change. A country like ours can't send so few Olympians to the Olympics. We are a great country. I already reached out to people like Tatiana and I said to them, you can't be lost to swimming. We still need you to come and help us create the future Tatiana Smiths. I want to say in the sport, when you look at South African sport, we are the best in the world in some of the sporting codes. And we finalized the budget. And the strangest thing happened. You would not believe this. True story. I've implemented my own Doge in my department. I am Elon Musk. So we are sitting with the people that are paying the money, the finance people. She's laughing because she couldn't stop laughing, one of the people in my office. And we went with a ruler, line for line. Tell me who is this and why are you paying this amount of money? It has been happening for 2 weeks. I can tell you horror stories where they paid money and they don't know themselves what that money is for. And when you push them, they'll tell you they found it like that and just continue paying. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring VAR back. That will be my biggest legacy because soccer is the most watched sport here. And there's a lot of corruption happening in our soccer. There's a lot of stadiums being vandalized whenever a decision goes against a particular teams, all particular teams. So I'm bringing VAR. The excuse has always been it's expensive. I've made provision with all the savings in my department that we are going to pay for it and then corrupt the referees. The time is over. We are going to move with times. So that will be one of the things I'm extremely proud of. And the fact that I've said no new stadiums will be built. No new stadiums will be built. We're going to fix all the swimming pools that are broken. We're going to fix all the infrastructure because people just want to put out tenders. We must fix what is broken before we build new stuff. We still have very good stuff.
Here's an interesting question for you. If you could go back in time and not join the African National Congress and was given a chance to join any other political party, which one would it be? And why would that party be so different from the ANC? And this question is from Taryn.
You know, this is the last one.
No, it's not.
Oh, because I checked Alec. Either you got a new watch or he's getting nervous.
Okay.
There's a dream that we had. There was a dream that this country one day all agreed upon. I am so glad Rory Steyn is here. Rory is talking at the conference. Rory Steyn is more equipped to tell you about Nelson Mandela. He protected that man for a time. I was pre-94. But I'll tell you something. I was part of a team that won a Rugby World Cup in Argentina. I was part of SA Rugby, and I saw 95 when Nelson Rolihlahla Madiba Mandela walked out that day in that stadium carrying Francois' jersey. Many of you will remember it. That day, Chris, when they shouted black and white, Boer and Zulu, they screamed Nelson. Nelson. That day, I thought, we've got this one. We have a rainbow nation. You can't argue that was one of the best days in the history of unification of this country. And what have we done? We have slaughtered that memory. We have killed Mandela's hope. And this ANC has taken us back more into apartheid now than what we ever had. And let me close by telling you, daai manne wat wil waai Amerika toe, I will help you pack your bag. But Neil de Beer, Albertus Cornelius de Beer, ek sal die donderse ligte afsit in hierdie land. My sons will not leave this country. We are not fugitives. We are not stragglers. And we are definitely not bloody refugees. We were born in this country and we should die in this country. And no one should tell us I'm a visitor and I'm a guest in my own country. Jou gat ou mat. I fought you before. Yeah. 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 Some of you write books. Some of you pray in church. But some of us know the difference between a detonator and a bloody chalk of cheese. So I am not calling you to that. You need to go vote. That should be the war that we should have in this country. Because only people that have been in war never want war again. We will not go to war. Look at the young people sitting here. Ou toppies soos ons gave our lives so that today you don't have to suffer the consequence of the past. And we should stop saying black and white. Morgan Freeman was asked, how do you stop racial tension between black and white? And he said, stop calling them black and white. They are South Africans and we love you so much. So local government elections, MK is coming. They are coming with everything they've got. And trust me, they are starting to get a lot. People must not sit here and be fooled that MK is falling apart. We have people saying so. But the fact that they are there and that they are coming, it's true. Because it's organized chaos. They're going to come like a tornado. What will happen is clearly the GNU will have to go to LGU and then to national at the end of the day. But 2026, we better take the metros back. The fact that Cyril flew in a helicopter over Durban's harbors and was shocked because he saw no harbors is the same expression when he drove with his 29,442 bodyguards, 60,000 BMWs, and he got stuck in a pothole probably outside Joburg Metro. The only reason we knew he was there because his blue light was strobe, so we could see the flash coming out of the hole. So So we better take back the metros, like Helen said. You've got to go vote. Because if you don't, we have to carry the consequence. So no matter who you vote for, we better take those metros back. Because it's vital for the survival of the country. 2027, you're skipping that. You've got a bunch of lunatics that are sitting there and all proclaiming presidency. Lusufi, ai, Fakile, daar's 'n ander woord wat ek vir hom het, kaboutertjie. But Fakile suddenly got inspiration. They probably gave him inspired vodka Lucasade. Because hy wil ook nou president raak, die mal ding. And then we've got the president, vice, incumbent, whatever you call him. And it's funny, Prince, he doesn't have to be asked here about the ANC's criminal offences. He's got 7 dockets he's carrying currently. Ek weet nie waar dit donderheid dit wegsteek nie, but we know it's there. So 27 is the marker. ANC conference is the marker. A huge marker before 2029. I'm not worried about 29. We need to get past December 2027 because it will then show the trajectory which way we are going in this country. GNU or no GNU. The rest you have been told here in Latin et nausea in Afrikaans tot dit jy kots about the future after 2027.